Hello, and hello.
Hi guys.
This is Ezekiel
and Sarah,
and we're here today for another episode of Marriage Matters Live. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So glad to be here with you guys today.
Yes.
It's been an eventful day today. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So we've got another interesting topic for you guys today.
Yes, we do.
For those of you who are married, those of you who are courting to be married, those of you who should not be dating but maybe you are. Basically, today we have a conversation that caters to all.
Yes, that's right.
It caters to all.
That's right.
And so we titled it. What's it called? It's called Plans.
Yes.
Who needs plans? Plans. Who needs plans?
Plans. Who needs plans?
Yeah, so it's a interesting place to pick things up, especially for those of you who have been with us week on week, episode on episode, fortnight on fortnight, seeing what we're doing and how we're bringing it. So, says,
babe,
do you need a plan?
100%. Because obviously, I feel like for me, how do I say it? I didn't think I needed a plan at first, but then being the type of person I am, I need a plan, because if we don't have something in place, everything's just all over the place. Do you get what I mean? Obviously, like, you've got some people who plan things out, and we're not talking about necessarily in marriage.
Yeah.
Just in general, they plan their day, they plan their week, they plan what they're going to do, where they're going on holiday in the next 3 months. You have people like yourself, that like to do that stuff. But then you kind of have people like me who's just like, well, I don't want to think too far ahead, because what if it doesn't happen? Stuff like that. I don't get my hopes up, and then it doesn't happen, and then I kind of feel like I failed.
Yeah.
In a sense. So I kind of thought, for me, that's where the whole planning thing didn't really. I was just like, oh, it's not really for me, because if I don't achieve it, then I see myself as a bit of a failure. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Absolutely. I feel that. I think you raise an interesting point. You raise an
put it out there.
You raise an interesting point to get us started. And I think what's key that we evaluate to start off with is there are different types of people. Sarah highlighted this wonderful point. We've got some people who plan. For them, planning comes easy. It's natural. It's what they do. Maybe they were trained to plan as a younger person, or it's just maybe their nature. And you've got the other more kind of spontaneous, I'll just fly by the seat of my pants, as they say. Shoot from the hip. You don't aim. You just kind of start shooting. Those kind of characters. So I totally understand that, and I think that really does feed into our topic and where we really want to start from today. The reason being, guys, is because just because something may come easy or may not necessarily come easy, that isn't really a prerequisite for you to determine whether you should or should not be a partaker of that. If you can hear us and the sound's clear, do just let us know that the sound is live. Thank you so much for those of you who have already jumped into the comments. We greet you this evening. So obviously there's different types of people. Whether the barrier to entry is easy or it's low or not, shouldn't be the place where we start. So that's I think we need to tackle off the bat. Next to that, marriages, those of you who are married, those of you who are courting and finding out the challenges and the nuances to your soon-to-be spouse, you already understand that no two people are the same. That's right. And this is really, really key for us to really break down, because let's take the two of us for example. You kind of alluded to it a moment ago, and I don't think I've always been a strategist. I don't think that's always been me. Strategy's never kind of always been my thing. I do believe from a young age, I've had an influence. I've had a strong influence from my dad to kind of help me with the kind of strategic thinking. However, I can't say that I fully adopted that with respect to my life plan. And I know your kind of upbringing was slightly different. It was more, fun and
Well, I wouldn't really say that. I just kind of feel like, I think it, for me, I would probably say that it depends on the family orientation as a child is being brought up. Some parents don't really have time to sit down and plan with their children. Yeah, that's right. Plan for their children.
Make time. Make time.
Let's not say have time, because everyone's got time. But don't really make time to plan for their children or plan with their children. Yeah. Or even teach their children how to just in general plan their day. Yeah. Everybody knows you wake up, you've got a set time to get up, you've got a set time to get to school. But you've got this window within when you wake up and when you get to school, what do you do in that time?
Yeah.
It's not a structured time. It's not structured timing. It's okay, you have to get to school for this time. Then school finishes, it's like, hey, school's finished. Then what do you do the next time? Okay, of course you got homework to do and whatever, but you don't, I didn't grow up in the environment where things were planned.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Meals weren't planned.
Yeah.
Bedtime wasn't planned.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So for me, it was, okay, go to bed just go to bed. Okay, the night, it's late, go to bed. Was it 11? Was it 10? Was it 8? Was it 9? I didn't know. All I knew was go to bed.
Yeah.
I didn't have, you go to bed at this time. We eat meals at this time. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I did not grow up with that structure at all.
Okay.
So it was a complete,
okay, so
Yeah.
similarities but differences, essentially, between the two of us. So harping on, kind of honing into that point, no two people are the same.
That's right.
And I think it's important that we understand that. So going into relationships, and I'm saying this, and everyone's like, yeah, we know that already. Okay, cool. No two people are the same, but how then do you incorporate a plan or a structure?
Yeah.
Or how then do you find a common ground? This is the key thing, a common ground. Because we've been talking about this the last 4 or 5 episodes now. Says has alluded to a great point now. She's saying to you, her point just then was, two people are different and we've got different people types. And a lot of what we do today is inherited from the training we had as children. That's one thing. And I think what I'm trying to hone in today is for us to really understand that it doesn't matter where we came from. Today, we have the opportunity to bring something new in, to bring in something fresh.
That's right.
All right, so how do we deal with that people type situation? So obviously, looking at the two of us, you've kind of elaborated well.
Yeah.
Not being much of a planner yourself, learning to plan as I've grown and kind of adopting those practices and principles from my dad, from places I've worked and those kind of things. I said, okay, look, you know what? And obviously, my own personal development structure, I said, you know what? Let's push this in to where we are.
Yeah.
So 8 years ago, thereabouts, I haven't got the dates with me guys for you today, but we started out on this venture and we said, and the venture I'm talking about wasn't marriage, it was planning.
Yeah.
So introducing planning into our marriage, probably a lot closer to about 9 years, I think it was now. So
Yeah, okay.
about 8-9 years. So we introduced that in planning. How does a man who is a planner and a woman who is not a planner.
I feel like he's trying to find a word for me, guys. If you know what the other word is for planner and I guess non-planner, that would work, right? In the sense, I feel like you're really trying to not say the go with the flow word.
You see, when the camera goes off, this continues. So I have to be very respectful.
Of course.
Of the queen who sits opposite me.
Of course.
All right, so the fundamental fact of the matter is, how did we work it out? And right. I'll open the floor to you, and I'll let you kind of just talk a little bit about what you feel was the process that we went through. What were some of the strategies that we used, if you know those, and then maybe I'll bounce back and then we'll move forward from that.
Yeah, well, it was, shall I say, because it's already happened. It was interesting at first because I was kind of like, yeah, I know that, but then why do we have to write it down?
Yes.
I know that, but why are we discussing it in such depth when we're talking about 5-10 years from now?
Yeah.
And I like to think I'm a bit of a realist in a sense. I like to think, okay, let's be realistic here. Is this actually going to happen? So for me, it was strange because I was kind of like, well, why are we writing this down, babe? Because at the end of the day, if I choose to, let's just say, divert from the plan, then what do you do about it?
Yes.
You can't stop, you can't sort of like control it, you can't kind of stop me sort of thing. Do you get what I mean? It's like I have to be, it was a thing where when we were doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, it felt like a whole nother commitment. Yeah. All over again. Yeah. So for me, it felt strange.
For those guys, for everybody watching, when you say a new commitment, what are you in respect to what? So what was the commitment we already had that this was a new commitment to?
Yeah, because it was, obviously the commitment we had was marriage, love, a future together, the children. Yes. We know what we knew, or we knew what we wanted, kind of thing. And then you're now throwing in like, oh babes, let's sit down and plan for the next 10 years. I'm like, sorry, 10 years? Can we deal with the first year at least? You know what I mean? Because I kind of feel, for me, sometimes it felt like
overwhelming.
Like, oh my gosh, like 10 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to deal with this
today,
today,
this week.
Exactly. So it really felt, it felt overwhelming. It felt strange. It was like, okay, is this actually realistic?
Yeah.
Can I actually do this? And then it was like, okay, once we have it down on paper, it's like a whole nother commitment in a sense.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think that's how real this is. That's how real this is. So when we did start out, it was really the situation where it was like, says, look, this is what I feel we need to do. Let's go with this. And firstly, I conveyed this. I conveyed what I felt was now had become really important to me and was important to us.
Yeah.
And we had an agreement. I'm leading our union. We spoke about this some weeks ago. You can't both drive. Someone needs to drive, and you got pilots and co-pilots. And we had determined in our relationship this was the structure we were going to use. So I said, Sarah, look, this is what's going on. This is how I feel. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
And she determined to support me. However, this was something that you felt was a major challenge.
Yeah.
The major issue that we've got with marriages, and me and Sarah were talking about some of this earlier on, is this: once you get married, go on your honeymoon or your mini moon or your staycation, whatever it is. When you wake up the very next day, I've said this to Sister Sarah, I've said this to loads of people. Anyone that comes to us for coaching, anyone that comes to us for counselling, anyone that we talk to, communication comes out. And one of the very next things, especially when we're talking about marriage, is that when you wake up the day after the wedding, it's you and your spouse.
Yep.
Nobody else is. I said to you guys just now, once the camera goes off, this continues. And I have to be mindful of that. So I can't say things just for you guys now and then think I'm going to get away with it after the camera goes off, because it's real.
I'm sorry, what was that about?
That's if she don't pull me up here in front of you guys now. So the reality is we have to evaluate things from that perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so important. It's so critical that we understand that the relationship, as much as you've got friends, family support, all of those things, it comes down to the two of you.
Yeah.
So when Sarah says she felt overwhelmed, that's because she was really considering taking this on as a reality, as a real responsibility. And that's how real it's got to be. We have children, we have homes that we live in, we may have finances that we're in command of. All of those things require a responsible consideration and dedication. And this is very, very key for us. So as different people, I first conveyed it to you. We dialogue, we spoke about it a lot of time. And then we began to have these kind of sessions, strategy sessions, where we sat down and we began to discuss. Now, from a big picture perspective, Sarah mentioned it a moment ago, she said she's a realist. And the way we operate, I feel like I'm very much that, but I'm kind of like a visionary. I look forward. I kind of look all the way down the road, and I'm like, this is what's coming. This is where we need to get to. And Sarah keeps me in check, in a sense, because she's a kind of everyday, today, this week person. And as much as I operate in that realm, I'm very much kind of focused on down the road. And I feel that's how we complement each other. So this goes back to what we were discussing previously about two different personality types. Someone's a planner, someone's not a planner. Someone's a realist dealing with today, the practicalities of today, where someone else is a visionary looking down the road. It may be the same in you guys' relationship. It may be different. It may be the wife who's the visionary and the guy who is that kind of that practical, more real person. So what we need to do is we need to ascertain our strengths. And this is key. This is something that we should have already been doing before we got to the line, crossing that line of we're getting married. Something we're already working on. Very important. This is very pertinent that we understand this. What are our character types? Because this feeds directly into the plan. This feeds directly into the relationship and the journey ahead. Basically,
that's a very important point you make, because when two people are seeing each other, they're dating, they're courting, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy. In that, let's say that year or in those 2 years pre-marriage anyway, however long it is for some people it's a lot shorter than that, but there's a lot of energy. So a husband or a wife can assume that this same energy is going to go forward into the marriage.
Come on,
right?
Tell them.
So when you're seeing each other, it's like, I want to do this, I'm ambitious, let's go, let's and this, let's go here, let's go there, or I want to just. And then when the marriage comes, it goes like, just like spikes, like those diagrams you show me when we're working out and eating healthy. It goes, whoo, and then shoo, it just completely pivots and it's like flatline.
Yeah.
And then two people are thinking, well, wait a minute, what happened to Mrs. I'm on it, I can do this, and what happened to Mr. Yeah, I got you. You know, what happened? But then for me, it's the fact that I guess it wasn't discussed. The energy that was being thrown around at the time before marriage wasn't actually, they're not sitting down to say, okay, you're saying this, you're saying that. Now let's put this down.
Yes.
Let's write this down. Let's write this vision and make it plain. So let's see what, all this energy that you're giving off. Let's see where this can take us in 5 years.
Yeah.
This excitement that you have, let's see where it can take us in 2 years, even if it's a 2-year plan.
Yeah.
But obviously, because maybe that's not happening, then, they enter into the marriage, but automatically they still expect that same energy to come forward. But by that time, so much has probably happened.
That's right.
And as well, the financial strain of a wedding, in a sense. The typical wedding can slow down that process.
That's right.
A little bit. The process of this is where we want to go. We've just spent 17 grand on a wedding, and then
that's budget for some people.
For some people. So it's kind of like, well, we've just spent 17 grand. Let's kick our heels here for a minute and let's wait and pick ourselves back up. However, who knows how long that takes, how long that debt takes to pay off before ambitions and dreams and passions are rekindled. Yeah. So I kind of feel like, for me, it's definitely something that people should be looking at pre-marriage. If the person that you're seeing or if the person that you're engaged to is high energy, is really driven, take that and say, you know what, let's have a look at this. Let's sit down and look at this together. Where can we go? What are we doing? Sort of thing. So yeah, I thought I'd make that point.
That's powerful, and I think again we're really honing on that point that different character traits, different character types feed into the union. Yeah. They feed into the success of the relationship. Yeah. And when Sarah's talking about someone who's a high energy, it's the same way that Sarah's very much a communicator in our relationship. So she's able to kind of make those connections, encourage the fostering of certain relationships to ensure that we're developing maybe the friendship aspect of our marriage plan and those kind of things there. So that's very, very key. Very, very key points that you've raised right there. So I was talking about people types. So let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of some of the planning now, basically, because we've spoken the last few weeks about the structures that should be in place before you start courting someone. Before you decide this is the person, this is who I'm getting married to, this is where we're going, it's very important that you have a good understanding of that person, a good base of that person. And when I think about a marriage plan, goals for marriage, let's call it marriage goals, what I see is, like I said to you guys already, way down the road. Now, I want to ask you a question. How often, because people think that marriage is this kind of, you go to the shop, you walk in, you buy something, and then that's it, you've purchased it, and it's like a one and done deal. We're married now, we just get on with life. That's people's perspective. But it's different than that. Marriage is like buying a brand new vehicle from the showroom, and that needs to be serviced. That needs to be maintained. That needs to be fueled.
That's right.
You understand? It needs to be valeted every once in a while. Yeah. It needs to be taken care of.
All those little scratches need to get covered up again.
That's right.
Marriage, the pains need to be healed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Scars, marriages have passengers. People come in, people go. So it's like there's a driver, we've got kind of a navigation or pilot system that's going on. That's kind of the way that I see it.
That's a great way to see it.
And I think the reason that analogy helps is because what it does for us is it helps us to see that this isn't a chocolate that you go to the shop, you buy, you consume, and it's over with. It's done. The deal is done. It's something that requires that kind of longevity, that long-term thinking.
That's right.
So the reason I'm bringing this up to you guys now is because who on earth wants to go on holiday, walks up to the airport and says, I've showed you this guys before, and says, all right, give me a ticket. Where are you going? Anywhere. What's your budget? Anything. How many of you? Well, I don't know. Do you understand? Or you stand there and you say, I don't know, to all of the questions they ask you. That doesn't make sense. And if I ask you, where are you going to end up? I say to you, where are you going? I'm going to the airport. Where are you going? I'm going on holiday. Where? I don't know. You can't tell me before you've left home where you're going. Listen, everyone who's watching, who has a job or who is involved in some types of business, you know the location of your workplace.
That's right.
Whether you work from your third bedroom, whether you work from somewhere in the city, you work way out of town, you know where it is. If I say to you, what is the address of your workplace? You can tell me.
Of course.
You can tell me. You may not know it off memory, but you could locate it, find it, and let me know.
Yeah.
Marriage is no different.
Yeah,
when I use this
right.
analogy of the car, please, what you must understand is when we get into a car, unless we are driving aimlessly and whatlessly,
Everybody has a
destination is required.
That's right.
And listen, a marriage without a destination is a marriage destined for destruction. Remember I told you that, because the reality is,
no, but that's the truth.
Some people won't like it. You say, what do you mean destruction? Well, we don't have a destination. That means essentially you're not going anywhere specific. Not going anywhere specific is like someone in a car driving round and round and round and round, and you wonder why we have the same issues again and again. We tackle the same problems. We had this situation last time. I mentioned last time we were on here about one of the young ladies who were mentoring some years ago, and she said every year around about the same time she goes through the same situation. It might be a new relationship, a new person, it's the same situation. It might be a new workplace, it's the same situation. You know, there's something deeper going on there that needs to be addressed. And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about knowing your destination. Plans. Who needs plans? Listen, we all need plans.
That's right.
It's very important.
That's right.
So when I think about this, I'm thinking long term, long range. And we don't have to address everything. You remember when we started our plan, I think I wrote on our first plan, we've kept it over time, and on there I wrote, there were some notes I was putting on for people I was coaching, and I said to them, don't worry about getting this plan done in a day. It took me, I can't remember, and I put it on there, it's on there, X amount of months or X amount of days. I think I calculated in days for me to get Sarah fully on it. So for us to go through the full plan from top to bottom, and this consists of things like your children, like goals for your children, desires you've got for your children, financial goals, career goals,
physical health goals,
personal development goals, all of those kind of things there. So it consisted of that. So it's not something that you can just do in a second. If you've got time like that, maybe running your own business, making your own money, then you can block out a weekend and maybe thrash it out, full focus, and you'll achieve it. But where we were in some kind of intense times between jobs, between different things at a time. So it took us a good few weekends to get on it and get consistent and move through it. So it's really important that we have a destination. When we tucked in that whole plan, we had strategized most everything that we're focused on today, everything that we're working through today. Some things a little looser, but some things are really tight, real specific. Some of those things achieved already, some things still moving towards getting them done. So question to you guys out there, those of you in the comments, who thinks plans are important? Who has a plan for marriage? Who knows of people who have a plan for marriage? And how is that working for you? How are your plans working? Do you think you need a plan for your marriage?
Wonderful.
Yeah. So, where do we go from here, Says?
Well, I would, to be honest, as you was talking, I was just thinking to myself, you know what? Marriages that haven't had plans, have just, if people are honest with themselves, it feels very mediocre. It feels very flat. Yeah. A lot of the times, people, I'm sure you know people out there that their children have grown up and then they've just parted ways because that was the plan. Yeah. The plan was to raise the kids. It might not have even been a spoken plan. Yeah. It might have just been, that's just the way this marriage is. Yes. This marriage is, we live together, we've had these children, let's raise these children. And when that's done, then they part ways because they didn't plan any further. They didn't add things to that. They didn't plan their old age. They didn't plan their retirement. All these kind of things. They didn't plan what they're going to do after these children have grown up. Yeah. We're always laughing and joking all the time about after the kids have grown up, what we're going to be doing. That's right. So we have this vision in our minds, and we're believing that these visions will come to fruition. Amen. So Amen. When you sit down with your husband, you sit down with your wife, it's so important to get past the things that we just think are necessary. a lot of the times people plan for just what is necessary.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they need to plan any further than just the basic necessities in a marriage. And that would generally be, finances, children, and what church we're going to as a couple, because we don't want to fight about this. So let's just arrange this now kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what else? Maybe where you're going to live.
Yeah.
Where people are going to live, that's probably something that a lot of couples will discuss. But everything else, people tend to, kind of leave that and just see what, and, just wait. They just wait to see what's going to happen, whereas it's so important to be like, okay, hun, by the time we're 50, what are we going to be doing? Just because what we have to remember is that these planning births conversations.
Come on now.
Okay, so if you feel like in your marriage at the moment you're not really conversating, bringing up a plan is actually a way to really begin to engage with your spouse and to really begin to see where their mind is and to really begin to dig deep into their heart to find out, okay, where are we going? What are we going to be doing in the next 5 to 10 years, hun? Like you have some couples, and one person is very the person who talks a lot and likes to do a lot of the engaging, and the other person is just like, yeah, you sort it out. I'll just do when you sort it out, just let me know. I can't stand that. For me, it's just one of those things. No, this is a partnership.
Come on now.
And every partnership doesn't just have one person to sign off. It needs two people to sign something off. But if the second person signing doesn't know what they're signing, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
I agree.
If you're just signing blindly, like, oh yeah, just kind of thing. So for me, it allows husbands and wives to begin to develop and to grow in a deeper level of communication.
Yeah. Intimacy.
Intimacy.
Some people think intimacy consists only of physical touch, but there are intellectual levels of intimacy, and maybe both parties, both spouses don't have that high level. We talk about love language. So some people, it's not about the conversation, the thinking, but remember, you're feeding your spouse's need. It's like caring. If I care about the relationship longer term, I'm going to sacrifice maybe some of what I may consider important to focus on some of what you may consider is important. You may like to talk and discuss certain things pertaining to X area. So I may say, okay, cool, let's discuss that. So I know some guys like to talk about football a lot. So maybe a wife might take an interest in at least who their favourite team is and, maybe what their position is in the league table at the moment. Maybe something like that. Yeah. Those things help, as you've said, develop those levels of intimacy. Really powerful.
And it also helps to reduce a certain amount of pain in a relationship as well. Because when you look at what it is we're talking about here, it's kind of saying, okay, these are the things we want to happen.
Yeah.
So the things we don't want to happen, we can prevent it.
Come on now.
Okay. So let's just take, in today's society, you have mum and dad that both work.
Yeah.
Okay, but generally it's always the mums who have the main responsibility with the children. Okay. But when two people sit down and say, okay, when we have children, we need to really understand what's happening here. I work, you work. You start at 9, I start at 9. Okay, how are we going to balance out this? How are we going to balance out our parenting?
Yeah.
A lot of the times relationships begin to break up because mums feel like they're overburdened.
Come on now.
Mums feel like they're not loved. Mums feel like they're carrying all the weight. Dad just goes to work. He's never really there to see what's happening. Oh, mum has to rush from work and then get to the school play, whereas dad's just at work and then he just gets home. Oh, how was the play, honey? Yeah, it was great. But you wasn't there.
Yeah.
But somehow mum was able to work and still make it to the school play. So all of these kind of things, it's just like, okay, when you sit down to plan in advance, you're kind of like, all right, when we have children, we need to be in this together.
Yes.
And if these words are spoken beforehand, when it starts to happen, it's like, hun, remember the plan. Remember when we sat down and we said, okay, we're going to do this together. And it helps in that, it's sort of like you're counseling each other in a sense, or checking, what's the word? Like checking in on each other.
Yeah. Keeping each other accountable.
each other accountable.
It's an anchor. It's an anchor. Ships, when they get to a particular dock, they lower that massive anchor. It's so heavy, and it ensures that they remain at the dock where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
They can't be carried away by the current. They can't be carried away by another ship. That anchor keeps them locked in at the place they're supposed to be. And that's what a plan is like. Just as you've said, it's like an anchor. It keeps us on track, keeps us focused. It ensures we stay at the dock we're supposed to be docked at. And I think just rolling back a little bit to what you were saying earlier, this is one of the challenges, people. It's not important to people. They don't want to write it down because it's not important to them. They don't want to focus on it because it's not important to them.
Yeah.
You know, the bills are important. The job is important. You know, the EastEnders or whatever they watch these days. It was Sunset Beach back in the day. What is it now? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. IGTV, Netflix. What do they call it? Netflix and chill. That's what's important to people today. So it's like all of these things are important, but people don't want to take out the time to fully focus on their plan.
Yeah.
If you're courting, this is something you need to be doing now. All right. If you're in a marriage and you haven't done this is something you need to be considering right now. It's really important.
That's right.
Oh, so you've touched on so much good stuff, and I want us to talk about children. But just before we talk about that, earlier on you spoke about the fact that the overwhelm of the plan, when it initially came to you, gave you this sense, gave you the sense of importance, and you thought to yourself, but if I don't stick to this, I'm a failure. I fail. And I think this is another thing that really kind of distracts people. Yeah. Because people are constantly thinking about how am I going to look?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I was listening to something the other day, and the person said, you know what? You have to fail before you can get to success. There's a degree of failure that comes in. And I know we don't like to hear that. But when you think about a young child walking, one of our nephews has just started walking now. And it's like, when I consider him and you watch him, you know, he's walking along as almost all the children in the family have done. Everyone's done it. They walk along and he kind of stood up, looks around a little bit, considers taking a step, then boom, sits down. Do you know what I mean? Then he might take a step and then trip. And then he starts to get some momentum and then he might fall. But he gets up. There you go. And then he gets up and then he keeps running, keeps moving.
That's right.
And this is the wonderful thing about the way God has created us and the way nature exists and the way that we progress. Failure, or what we perceive as failure, really the word is learning. That's what it really is. But failure, that feeling, that idea that I'm going to fail, it's not going to work, it's going to be a problem, we have to accept that that is part of the process. Yeah. And once we get that, we flip that switch in our mind. We say, okay, you know what? I may make some mistakes, but it's okay. Mistakes are part of me getting to the place I need to get to. Mistakes are like, you learn. And when you start something, you're not excellent. Yeah. But as you continue, you progress and you become better and better. Yeah. And I think that's something that we really need to address. Yeah. Or in our minds mentally. So let's talk about children. So, children. Some people are like, well, I don't need to plan children. Someone says, I want no children. Yeah. So you're courting. Someone says, I don't want no children. The other person says, well, I want 3. The person who says they want 3 say, okay, you know what? I'm willing. Let's just get married. We'll work it out later. So in the back of their mind, they said, don't worry, I'll change their mind. We'll have children.
Well, the other person said it, don't worry.
That's right.
Oh, gosh.
So that's a drama already to start with.
100%.
Before you've crossed this, before the gun has been fired and you've even begun the race, you're still in training. You're still preparing. There's a problem. Yeah. And we're supposed to address that then. Yeah. This is one of the issues that a lot of people have. They think, oh, I'll change them. Yeah. Oh, they'll change their mind. Yeah. Or the love is enough. Or the lust is enough. But these are problems. Yeah. These are problems that people face at the top end that create major issues, turmoil down the road. Because agreement is powerful. Agreement is power. So if we don't have an agreement between us, the Bible says where if two walk together except they be agreed. So we need to be in agreement. We set some agreements very early on. 3 significant ones, if I remember. Those 3 significant agreements have remained with us until today.
Yeah. And they're a good foundation as well.
And they've sustained us.
Yeah, exactly.
They've sustained us.
100%.
And I think that too many people don't do this. Yeah. They think if they can do it, we can do it too. And they're looking across the road, but they don't know what's going on underneath.
It's true.
The foundational level.
It's true. Because, I mean, a lot of times people, but then again, sometimes it depends on people's environments as well. Okay, because some people are, they have people around them, and they just think, oh, like, yeah, these two have been married for, like, let's say, I don't know, 10 years, and they seem to be all right. Every time we see them, it's all ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And then you've got other marriages where it's just kind of like, oh gosh, this is really bad. But then it doesn't mean that the people who are having a great time have planned their marriage, And it doesn't mean the people who are not having a hard time, haven't planned their marriage.
That's right.
So it doesn't, planning doesn't necessarily determine how happy your marriage is going to be. Okay, that's not what we're saying here. We're not saying that planning is what is going to determine the happiness of your marriage, but it's definitely going to be a stepping stone, a foundation for you to be able to stand on, to say, okay, I know where we're going. And I kind of feel like, for me, it's one of those things, especially when it comes to children. I mean, I always knew I wanted a certain amount.
Yeah.
And you always knew you wanted a certain amount. And I think they kind of lined up, didn't they?
I was open.
Yeah.
I was open. So I wasn't against many children.
Yeah.
But I kind of, there were more of you guys than there were of us.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, 4's okay.
Yeah, and I always wanted, like, I had four
or more.
But not less than 4. That was, for me, I was definitely like, I need more than 4 babies, okay? Because, I love babies. All right, fine. Let's just get out of the way. Yeah.
I think they know that by now.
So for me, I always knew that I definitely wanted, I don't know if you'd class that as a large family. Well, according to Boris, I think that's overload now, isn't it? Overload. You're at full capacity, okay?
For sure.
So for me, I always knew I wanted a large family, not too big, because you never, you don't want too much and you can handle. But I was glad that we knew that we wanted a decent amount. It was never like,
a decent amount.
Yeah. If you was like, oh, babes, I only want 2, I would have blatantly told you, no, that is not happening. I want more than 2. We would have definitely had to punch through that conversation.
Yeah, and I think that's something we were open to. We, from the beginning, like I said about our 3 foundational, we were always open to communicating with each other as a primary point of solution. And I think that made it, and it's one thing to say, okay, I'm in a relationship with this person, XYZ. The other mentality, the other side of the fence is saying, look, I'm willing to discuss anything with you. I'm open. So it's one thing to say, okay, we can talk. It's another thing to say, look, let's talk about anything. Do you understand? And that's different. So we would have had that conversation if that was the situation, and we would have worked through it because we were willing to do that. So many people would say that they're willing, but really the guy just wants a nice looking girl on his arm. The girl was just looking for maybe a nice looking guy on his arm, just so not to be biased. I won't say anything different. On her arm, sorry. And that's that. You understand? That's the challenge that we face today. So I think our goals, or there are many goals that are too superficial. But so what do you say to the person who says, like, goals, planning schwamming, it's just way too much?
Well, I wouldn't lie. I would say, and I see their point. I see your point, but to be honest, everything is planned. Everything's planned. There's nothing that is not planned. TV, every program you watch has been planned and scheduled for you.
That's right.
They're just waiting for you to sit down and turn the telly on. Okay? When you go to McDonald's, it's a planned menu. You can't just conjure something up and be like, oh, wait a minute, throw a filet-o-fish in a quarter pounder and throw some. Okay, you can probably do that in McDonald's, but in most places, most things are planned. Everything's planned. You take your child to school, their time is planned. Your schedule's planned. You go to work. Everything is planned. Yeah. So when you think about it, well, why wouldn't you realistically want to plan your marriage?
I think I'm with you.
Hello?
I'm with you. I think, like, look, when you look at the natural order of things, you can tell that there are structures.
Yes.
We have times and seasons.
That's right.
So we have the year starts at one space and it ends at another determinate space. Seasons start at one season and then they end at another season. Childbirth, I think I brought this up previously, starts at one space, one trimester, we finish in the 3rd trimester.
That's right.
This goes on and on and on. But because people have the liberty to do what they want to do, they feel like, I don't need to. I'm not forced to.
Yeah.
So I don't need to.
Yeah.
But when we observe the natural order of things that has been put in place, what we see there is that, you know what? There are seasons, there are times, there are structures.
Yeah.
And we would do well to mimic or to follow after God's natural order of things.
That's right.
And it helps. If a person just did that alone and they said, you know what, let's just follow like a very basic, a simple structure. Everything I do in terms of breaking it down, I like to break it down into three components, three core components because of our belief system. So it's spirit, soul, and body. Everything we break down falls into those categories because we need to know what we're adhering to, what we're focusing on, and what we're feeding, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's what it breaks down into. So even when we're looking at plan, there are plans for our spiritual development. Yes. I'm giving you guys a real high level kind of view of what's going on. It goes deeper into that. There's many layers, but on a high level, it's like what's our spiritual focus? What's our spiritual goals? What's our spiritual motivation? Then we've got our soul. So what is our intellectual? Go upstairs.
No, we love you too, honey.
We've just got the little man down here. Sorry, guys. So we've got the soulish.
Matters life, guys.
Yo, edit us. Scrub that.
Okay.
Scrub that last 5 seconds.
Right, so where were we? Okay, we planned their bedtime.
You know this.
They're going to bed.
Okay, so yes. So basically we've got spiritual, we've got soul, and we've got body. So there are intellectual goals that we've got. Goals for our intellect. And then we've got physical goals. Goals for our body, keeping the food that we eat, our health, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And that flows into our goals for our children.
Yeah.
So again, I'm giving you the kind of like 40,000 foot view all the way up from down. So then for the children, what are their spiritual goals? What are their soulish goals? What are their physical goals? And this is the way that it operates. Look, even if you worked on just that basic level, do you understand? I've got a spirit. What can I do to ensure that my spirit is planned for? I've got a soul. What can I do to ensure that my soul is planned for? I've got a body. What can I do to make sure that my body's planned for?
Yeah.
Just on that high level, I think it's important. And it's like taking things from that perspective will really, really benefit us. It will really, really benefit us.
Yeah.
So, do you want to touch on that before we move to the children?
No.
All right.
I think we can move on.
Okay, so children.
Yes.
Sister Sarah,
as you can see, they just enter into your studio.
Don't rewind. You didn't see that. You didn't see that. This is live. You heard Sister Sarah. This is live, right?
I love that.
He wanted to say goodnight, all right?
Yes.
So he's been trained that soul requires affection.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about this. What happens when we haven't planned for the development of our children?
Oh, yeah.
We haven't catered to their spiritual and their intellectual, their emotional, and their physical needs. Yeah. One thing, I'll tell you this, that Sarah dislikes the most, is when a parent doesn't cater to the physical needs, nutritional, and physical exercise needs of their young children. Yeah. When she sees it, I'll let her go if she wants to, but if she sees a little child with a big bag of Haribos, I'm talking like a 2 or 3 year old,
3, 4, 5, 6
little toddler. He's got a big bag of Haribo and a can of Coke.
Oh,
listen, she's not feeling that because essentially those parents are listen. You may consider this judgment or judgment. The fact of the matter is, that may be their goals. They want to raise little chubby kids or let the kids do whatever they want. I'm just keeping it real for a minute. But but the fact of the matter is that doesn't run in line with our child rearing goals, basically. So we know Coca-Cola for the toddlers or even the teens.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, or even adults.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Sarah.
Yeah. I've been weaned.
Is no good.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So what do we do when we find now our child is 19, 20, or even 16, and there's a clash between the goals that we didn't have and the goals maybe they set for themselves now, or the goals that we do have and the goals they're setting for themselves. So what's the challenge with not setting a plan for our children is what I'm asking essentially.
Okay, I mean, first things first for me, you know, as I mean, the whole planning thing, obviously for some people, is kind of like, okay, I get planning my finances because that's something I can physically see happening. I know how much comes in and I kind of know how much we spend. So, okay, I can get, you know, how you guys are advising, let's plan our finances. Okay, and I can see how you're saying, let's plan our health because I choose what I eat. But when it comes to children, it's like, okay, I don't want to, a lot of times you don't want to seem controlling, obviously, but you have to control to a certain degree. You have to plan and prepare for them to a certain degree. But then, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, but I don't want to waste all my energy planning, and then the child turns around and says, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. Oh, you're too, do you know what I mean? So it can seem a bit like, oh, why would I try and plan my child? However, it is important to plan for your children because obviously, like, you know, like you already said, for me, seeing a child overweight, struggling to run, struggling to play, struggling to put their leg to get on a bus,
to breathe even,
in
certain situations,
you know, it hurts me because I think to myself, children are small, just smaller versions of us. Okay. And you already know when someone is heavily overweight, how they feel.
That's right.
When they're trying to do certain things, more or less a child who isn't asking. Okay, they are asking, but they're only asking because they feel they can. But we're the ones giving. So if if you just look at it from a complete different perspective, okay, so let me begin to say, all right, I want my child to be very good at reading. I really want my child to enjoy education. I want my child to enjoy family time. I don't want my child to be an outside person who just likes being out of the house, being in other people's company. You want you want your child to enjoy their environment. So all of these things you have to plan. And I remember talking to my friend many years ago when our daughters were little, and I remember saying to her, and we had this conversation, I was like, you know what, I want my child to be I want my children to be the type of children that actually enjoy being in their home. And it's not, they don't want to be, it's not when they're in someone else's house that they feel free and they feel happy.
Liberty,
So one of the things that we ensured we did as parents is cultivating an environment for our children to be happy their house. So we engage with them. We have family time. We purposefully parent now.
Powerful.
We purposefully parent. I think there were about 5 at the time. They're hitting my friend's daughter, she's just turned 19. Our one's turning 19 soon. So this was many, many, many years ago, and we're still very young. Yeah. But then it dawned on me, my upbringing, and I was like, no, I don't want that for my child. I want my child to be in my presence.
Come on now.
I don't want my child to be like, oh, mum, I'm going out at the age of 14. Sorry. Anyway.
That's for another stream.
Yeah. So for me, I already had to, really sit down and think to myself, okay, if that's the outcome I do not want, how am I going to achieve that?
Come on now.
So because there was an outcome that I didn't want, we had to sit down to really begin to plan how we were going to achieve this. How we were going to achieve having children who fear the Lord, who not even just fear the Lord, have their own relationship with God. That in itself, you have to plan, because, you can take them to church all you like. You can, get them to listen to all the scriptures as much as you like. But if they do not have a personal relationship themselves, it's just wasted effort.
Yeah. In
a sense. Wasted effort. But, we thank God that the Lord will always be there to lead and guide them. But it can be wasted effort.
Yeah.
So, and this is something, again, that planning really helps. Planning helps us to not waste so much time and effort on things that are not necessary.
Yeah.
So you kind of hit straight to the point. You say, okay, I want children who like their environment. You have to create an environment that they're happy in.
Yeah.
I want children who are going to be healthy, who are going to be fit and strong, and can run for a bus and catch the bus. How are you going to do that? You have to encourage them to eat right. You have to encourage them to play. You have to encourage them to take parts in sports. You have to encourage them to not sit down and watch TV 24/7. All that kind of stuff. So yeah, for me, it's just it really did help saying, okay, this is what we want for our children, and looking at the list, and you kind of once you've put your plan down, it kind of stays in your mind, you know, it's like a form of like a checklist in a sense. You kind of have a checklist. So when you can see, okay, you've allowed your children to overindulge in sweets, in fast food, in all these unhealthy things, you know, the destination is overweight, lazier, low energy,
right.
all these kind of things that your child will begin to cultivate. So straight away you're like, okay, Sarah, you said you wanted healthy kids, so let's cut this out now, you know. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll say for that.
Powerful stuff.
So guys, come on, please, you know, same thing, you know, we're having this discussion, but we are here also for you to engage with us. I'm sure all of you who have children, you know, leave in the comments below, do you have a plan for your children? I know we've kind of, this isn't just about children.
No, we're honing in on that now.
But you know, but we're really kind of like honing in on that, because it is a thing where people, you know, a lot of times before people have children are just a figment of their imagination until they become a reality.
That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not always easy to plan for, you know, for your children, but obviously having this conversation, if you have children then, and you haven't actually really began to sit down to say, okay, this is what I want, let me help them with this, that can help you. And if you haven't got children yet, then you already know, okay, if you don't want your child to have a certain type of lifestyle, to live a certain type of lifestyle, there are things that you can implement before they arrive, you know, that you can plan before they arrive in order for them to have that. So please, you know, join us in the comments, leave in the comments if you've planned, if you didn't think you wanted to plan, if you didn't think you need to plan, if you're, you know, if you had a great upbringing and you didn't think your parent planned a single thing, you know, leave all that in the comment and let us know.
Powerful stuff. So I think we've tackled we're going to pull into your comments just shortly,
Yeah.
almost there. So I think we've tackled two of the major issues in terms of the parenting. So kind of, we spoke about someone who wants 0 children versus someone who wants 3, and how they tackle that. And we also tackled now this idea of my views, my goals for you are different from your goals for you.
Yeah.
And I think Sarah really touched on a lot of rich things there. If we really think about the fact that I think one of the things we spoke about is we want our children to be industrious thinkers and to be, what was the word now? Valuable members of society.
That's the one.
I'll phrase it
Valuable
that
members
way.
of society.
So that meant we needed to clearly define what that meant for us. One of the things that I think a lot of people don't factor in is that your children, they may do what you say, but they will surely do what you do. And the things that we think, the things that we're thinking, the things that we're participating on a daily basis, people that kind of constantly lying, you know, don't tell them mommy and daddy's not here, don't tell them I'm out, or you know, conflicts between mum and dad, all those kind of things. Those things are deposited spiritually. All right, this ain't church, but I'm going to drop it on you guys like that. They're deposited spiritually into the child. They are imprinted on the child. The child then goes out and then plugs into those things outside in the world. So what can we do to ensure that we are living a consistent life? And this is where I think the plan comes in.
Yeah.
Because with a plan, we have structure week on week, episode on episode. I've spoken to you guys about the way that you think, all right? Spoken to you guys about the way that you see the world. You understand that? We've tackled this time and time again. Many people are drawing their understanding from movies. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Many people are watching episodes on their phone, on the TV, and then they're going out and living those episodes in real life. Their life is modeling a movie.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't have their own perspective of life.
That's right.
Before they determined that they would have a plan, they went around with no plan. And that no plan essentially meant, you said it powerfully, everybody's planning, everything is planned somewhere, somehow. And what people don't understand is, if you're not planning for yourself, I saw a great, let me quickly read out this comment. I saw a great comment earlier on. It was Amy Ezabo. She said, of course, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's right.
The thing people don't understand about that statement, it's very, very true, is if you don't plan for yourself, somebody else is planning for you.
That's right.
So if you don't know what healthy eating is, and someone else says to you, this is healthy food, you take their word for it and eat that food. You've done no investigation, but you take it up when they say to you, yeah, sugar-free is good for you. when they say everything light is good for you, what you don't understand is they did remove the sugar, but they put something else in it for you.
Right.
When they tell you that it's light, that's because they removed maybe some of the things that were good, and those things actually have some benefits in them. They've removed them. Now you're eating the light version. Light of what? They took out the substance. They're heavy.
That doesn't make any sense.
My queen. And I think it's important that we really kind of understand that these structures are important because they give us consistency.
That's right.
Do you understand?
That's right.
Some people have no worldview. They have no worldview of their own because they've adopted one from somebody else. And this is very, very important for us to remember and to hold on to as an anchor for one of the reasons why we plan. We plan for long-term success and consistency.
I was just going to say something as well. What I think is very important as well that we have to really understand, even what's happening right now in the world. Okay, the government's trying to plan how many people can be in your house, all these kind of things. That relates to what we're talking about. If you don't plan for yourself, someone is going to plan for you. However, society doesn't want you to plan. Society, wants everybody to be so busy with things that days go by, months go by, years go by. Before you know it, they've hit retirement and it's like, oh my gosh, where did the life go?
Come on now.
Where did the marriage go? Oh, we've done nothing. And it's like, but wait, it's you're 30 years deep, but people still feel like they've done nothing.
Yes.
You're 65, going on to 70, but you still feel like you haven't achieved anything. The world, society is built to keep us busy, and it's getting worse now.
Come on now.
Okay, it's getting worse now with the whole social media lifestyle, Netflix chick flick lifestyle. Sit in front of the computer, press a button, your food comes through the door, the man drops it outside the bag, you just go outside the door, you just go and collect it. Everything is about it's about keeping your mind somewhere else.
They want you docile.
You understand? Keeping your mind somewhere else. Now, that also relates to the children. They also want their children of today to be, their minds to be kept somewhere else. Now the way, the gaming world has grown, and you can be 10 and be so deeply involved in the gaming world, and the parents the one buying the chair, buying the headset, buying the bigger internet connection, buying the bandwidth, buying them a bigger computer. Do you know what I mean? To keep them fully engaged in a world that isn't real.
Come on now. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You're doing it.
So when you think about these things, when you just think about these things, it's like, wait a minute, all of this is happening, and they're, the people who are creating this thing, they're getting richer, they're living their lives, they've planned all this already, by the way. Remember, they've planned this out. They know exactly what it is they're doing. Whereas people in society, like little hamsters, going round and round, going round and round and round and round and round and round and round the wheel. Okay, so we have to begin to remember to say, no, wait a minute, I need to unplug. I need to unplug.
Powerful. Come on.
Unplug. And the only way to realistically unplug is writing down your vision with your partner, for your family, for your children. And when your children get to a certain point in their life where they can really understand, it's like, honey, come and sit down. Oh, yes, mummy. What is it, mummy? You pray they answer you so nicely. And you say, okay, look, this is what me and your dad wrote down 5 years ago. This is what we've achieved so far. Oh, and by the way, here's what we planned out for you. Oh, and look, it's going intact. And then you can at least give that child the opportunity to say, oh, this is a thing. This is something that we do. This is something that you actually planned something for me. Because when you think about it, children are used to structure, period. Okay, a lot of children are used to structure. Even if you don't have structure in your home, okay, they have structure when they go outside.
They have structure on their television programs.
Exactly. So a lot of times, I don't want to give them structure. I don't want to make them feel like things are rigid, blah, blah, blah. They have structure. If you don't give it to them in the house, they have it outdoors. When they grow up and go to work, they've got a structure they've got to follow and stuff like that. So for me, it's about really beginning to see the bigger picture. See past just you and your husband, and remember and see the fact that society does not want you to plan. Okay, those who have planned, those who are planning their future, are more likely to get to that destination. Like my husband said, you get in a car, you want to go to Asda. Okay, you know where Asda is. But you can drive to Asda on autopilot and be like, I know exactly where it is. I know exactly how long it's gonna take me. Or you can say, oh, let me put on the sat nav. You can take time, put on the sat nav. Yeah, but it might take you in a completely different direction. So it's not always just because you know where you're going that you're going to get to that destination just by knowing I want to go to Asda. You might end up doing something completely different. But if you begin to write things down and say, okay, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go here, it makes life so much easier. And then remember the point I was saying, you kind of feel like a failure when you're not hitting these targets. Okay, but I think that's something that is a self thing. It's not like I don't feel like a failure.
Yeah.
In a sense, I don't feel like a failure. I just feel like it. When you want to start planning, you don't want to do it because you don't want to not achieve it.
It's a responsibility. I'll tackle you with that. I was doing a coaching program. This must have been like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
This was a little bit before we started our initial plan, if I remember the dates correctly.
Okay.
Did this session. It was a small group session. We went through the plan, did some structure, and it was a personal development planning session. So there's a few sisters there, a few brothers there. We went through this thing, and after the session, the next day, I was going to the office, came down, went to the bus stop, and I had the greatest sense of clarity, fulfillment, and joy. I stood at the bus stop, and cars were going past a busy road where we used to live. And the cars were going past, buses were pulling up, people walking around, suits and everything. And in that moment, I felt so empowered. I said, I know where I'm going. I came out of my house and felt so rich. Oh, yeah. My bank account hadn't changed yet. Nothing had changed. But in that very moment, I felt so I'm saying that to say, I can agree with you, because the flip side of that is when you are aware that you're supposed to achieve something and you feel like you're incapable of achieving it. So we spoke about this before, there's like a limiting belief there.
Yeah.
There's a mental block.
Yeah.
There's something you're thinking that is stopping you from achieving what you're supposed to achieve. It's natural for there to be a negative emotion associated with that. That's normal. Yeah. But the thing, as we mentioned before, for those of you who are just coming in now, what was clear, we must be clear on is that every failure, let's not call them failures. These are learning curves.
Yes, learning curves.
These are stumbling blocks that we may trip over, but we stand up and keep going. Yeah. And this is what we need to reframe things in our mind. We need to look at this picture and say, you know what, it's the wrong way round. Like you see a picture of someone kind of like, it looks like they're tripping, and you turn it and then it looks different slightly to you. And that's what we need to do. We need to turn the picture frame so we can see these things clearly. Yeah. And this is why we do shows like this. We say it to you guys all the time. Yeah. It's you guys. We're here talking. We're here, but it's your conversation. It's your comments, your interaction that fosters this conversation. Yeah. We're here really to help empower, to enrich those of you who are courting, those of you who are on the journey of marriage and focused and dedicated on making a success of it. Yeah. There are many of us that have lacked training in marriage. There was so much that we learned. We were laughing about it the other day. So much that we learn by mistake. So much we learn along the way. God was so gracious to us. So gracious to kind of give us the steps that we need, moment by moment, teacher by teacher, training by training, mentor by mentor, to get us to the stage where we felt as though we were a successful couple, having a successful relationship. Yeah. And we desire that for all of you. Everybody on this stream, live now, you're here after the fact. It's important. Yeah. We desire for you to have a success, a complete success in the journey of the covenant of marriage that God has given to you.
Yeah. And it's never too late.
No, never.
And that's the thing. It's never too late. And you know the reason why it's never too late? Because you're in it for the long run. Okay, till death do you part. So it's never too late. Okay, so even if it's something that you know, if you're hearing this for the first time and you're thinking to yourself, oh, okay, now's the time. Just begin to plan. Get your partner and say, okay, what we're doing. We've been, because to be honest, guys, right? There are so many relationships that are just floating. Okay, just floating. Mom goes out, comes home, dad comes back, you have dinner, blah, blah, sit down. But it's a bit at this tone that I'm using, just floating, okay? But if you feel you're at that place and your relationship is just sort of, at one level, do something to make that change. Implement something that is going to rekindle this relationship. Because you know what? We know, that marriage isn't something that the world wants. Today's world anyway. It's like marriage. Oh, what's that? Forget that. But yeah, so there's still a lot of people getting married, but are people getting married for the wrong reasons? And obviously just the way things tend to be going. You don't have to get married. You can just be together. Yeah, it doesn't, not because if you're married doesn't mean it's going to be successful. However, in order to have a successful marriage, you have to plan for a successful marriage. You have to be committed to wanting a successful marriage. So if you find you're at that place at the moment where it's just, we're just living life. You have a house, you have a house, you have a car, your kids are doing good in school, the bills are getting paid, just that average, normal, everyday thing, but you want more.
That's right.
But you want more, and you want to, you want to add some diesel in your, some fuel into your marriage. This could actually be the thing that you're looking for, because when you begin to sit down and say to your husband or say to your wife, "Hun, all right, okay, we bought the house, that's fine, but how about we pay this house off earlier?" You don't have to wait for that 33-year mortgage to run out.
Come on now.
You really don't have to wait till you're 65 or however old it may be to pay off your mortgage. Okay? You can plan to pay that off earlier so that you can enjoy, certain different things later on or earlier than you would have expected. A lot of the times people are waiting for retirement before they start living life. Who said that's going to happen?
Come on now.
Do you know what I'm saying? Who said that's going to happen? But if you plan to do certain things, if you begin to plan now to say, okay, let's do this, let's do that. And it, like I said earlier, the planning process, it encourages communication.
It does.
And communication is key in any marriage.
That's right.
And if you feel like I'm saying this again, if you're feeling like you and your husband or you and your wife are not really communicating, the communication's not where it was when you were,
That's right.
early on in the relationship and everybody was on fire, implement a planning strategy. Bring this in, and it doesn't have to be something that's like, so deep or whatever.
That's right.
And again, obviously, if you're not sure, if you, I don't know, but if you're out there, and you're not really sure how, what, okay, yeah, I'm hearing you say plan, but I'm still a little bit confused. Feel free to inbox us.
Yeah, just chuck a comment in the message below. We're actually
inbox us.
We're working on a little document that we'll have ready for you by the next stream. When we come back on the next stream, we'll have that ready for you guys, so you can just dive in and grab hold of that. I think because
people still need support, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Even in when you're saying certain things, they're kind of like, but I don't really, Feel free to inbox us, and we will be able to, I guess, give a bit more assistance than that.
I kind of want to shout out to you guys who are courting, or if you're in here, you're married, and some people that are courting, you feel may benefit from this. So not yet married, preparing for marriage. Something that you need to be mindful of is that this discussion here today is for those of you genuinely, like this part of the discussion, we're talking about children, talking about marriage, those kind of things. It's for those of us who are married. However, your initial, we spoke about MOT a few episodes back. I'm talking to you now about personal development plan.
Yeah.
Your personal and private development plan feeds directly into the marriage plan we're talking about today. If you're aimless or whatless nomad, just wandering around, no goals, no plan, no job, no vision, okay, that's maybe the choice that you've made. However, when you choose or decide that it's time for you to connect with another person, you need to feed your own personal vision and goals into what will be the holistic. And if you're the guy and you're living this life where you've chosen to lead, you've accepted that call to lead the house, then it's very important for you to be able to kind of steer this process. Yeah, and if your wife is a planner, she's the strategic one, you need to tap into her gifts, her skills, and her God-given abilities to help you. Don't feel like, that's
she's
just not my nature, I can't do it.
Like that
you need to tap into that so that the two of you can collectively make it a reality and make it happen.
Use each other's strengths.
All right, I think let's jump into the comments now. We're gonna leave you guys shortly, but let's jump into the comments and see what's good. And then we'll answer any questions.
I know I've been on for a while, but just like, hi guys.
Shout you guys out. Blessings to everybody. I'll let you go. You go.
Okay, Ecosmia says hi, or Kat Johnson says you have to plan or you'll be dragged away by the tide of life and time.
Absolutely.
Ecosmia says yes, God planned our years and days purposefully.
Hallelujah.
Amen. And she also says, I'm a big fan of
Spontaneity.
spontaneity, but I definitely see the benefits and agree with planning in advance, especially for marriage. It sets out expectations and also gives you a clear path you're both following. Mm-hmm. Yeah, amen. And she says good night, Steve. Okay, you can go.
Yeah, so Ecosmios, good night. Everyone's saying good night to the young man. That's another level of child abuse. It's true. I think that was the Coca-Cola point.
Oh,
Coca-Cola
gosh, yeah.
and the kind of factors. Even, I'll be honest with you, failing to take on your parental responsibility and structure and plan for your child, that's a form of abuse as well. Sarah was saying earlier on that, they've got structure outside, you don't give them structure at home because you want it to be like a free liberal zone. The problem is you're doing your child an injustice if you don't train them how to deal with the structures outside. That's a problem.
100%.
That's a problem as well. So thank you for that comment there. Coca-Cola at those ages, they're no teeth at 10. Yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Ecosmia says, but it's important that you were able to spot what was unhealthy or what you didn't like in your childhood and purposefully plan to combat it.
Yeah.
That's really key. And I think the question, we're putting together another questionnaire actually. So I spoke to you guys a few weeks back about the questions you should ask while you're courting. Ask the tough questions, ask the hard questions. And that's why we want to have those hard conversations early, because you want to be asking about the challenges that your prospective partner has faced in their relationships, previously, in their family, previously, traumatic experiences they've gone through. Those things
even
are
as a child.
key. Those things are key to be discussed, because things that happen as a child, things that happen in your adolescence, things that happen as you're a young adult, they feed into your future. I spoke to you guys today, I think I mentioned it before, about the imprints that we have on our children.
Yeah.
And traumatic experiences are imprinted, and where there is no deliverance,
healing.
Where there is no deliverance, there is no healing, those things are carried on. We spoke about toxic relationships previously, didn't we? So that's a great comment. Thank you so much. Many people know what they don't want, but don't know how to implement something to combat that. Sis, I think one of the challenges there is this. People are reluctant to get training. People are reluctant to learn. People are reluctant to get accountability. And the big issue is this. I think it comes down to pride. Some people think, fear and pride, basically, it's a balance of the two. Some people have this concept that, well, if I ask for help, then I look stupid. Yeah,
or it looks like I'm a failure.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's right, yeah, exactly.
But listen, every world-class athlete that I know has sought the assistance of a coach, of a trainer, and of a manager. These are world-class athletes, people that we all gather around, or have at one time gathered around and watch the TV to see them play football, run on track, swim, do something great, and be acknowledged for it within their field. Yet we, who desire to be successful and great at marriage, refuse to take on the assistance and the help. Even if, at a basic level, read your Bible and draw from there. Whatever your worldview is, go to your core tenets and draw from that, so you can be a success. Find a couple that's winning and say to them, look, help me, help us.
You know what? As you was just talking, I thought of something. When we're talking about planning for your children, you know what that helps you to do, right? It allows you to be steadfast in your goals, and when other people want to come and sway you or make you think that, wait, you're not doing certain things right, you have that focus. Because I think of an example, your brother, he has a plan. Yeah, for his family, their eating regime, how healthy he wants his kids, all that junk stuff is like not an option. Okay, when you're married and gone, that's up to you. But this is how I'm training you in this way. And then, it's kind of like when you want to go and, give one of the kids a sweet, straight away you're like, whoa, no, he don't want that. He don't like that. Let me just remove that sweet. Go and ask your dad. And it stops people from, just doing whatever they, what they feel. Oh, it's just a child. Oh, yeah, take. Oh, don't let them eat that. And why are you being like that? No, because you already know. So you're kind of like strong in what it is that you want to do. And I really feel like that was such an important point, because a lot of the times, you know, when we're raising children and we're in environments that everyone's child is participating and your child's not, it doesn't make you feel like you're doing something wrong, because you know why you're doing that.
Yeah.
You know why you're doing that. You know, what I'm talking about right now, kind of like, I'm thinking about, like Grace, like for me, I was like, you know what? I don't want my kids drinking alcohol. That's like a no. You know, for me, that's just a no. Like, I don't think it's for my children. That's just not something I want. Do you know what I'm saying? So we purposefully discussed that. We purposefully implemented that as we were going. So it's always, you know, because by the time they get to 18, you know, it's like, oh yeah, they can drink now, blah 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 blah. No.
Yeah, we don't encourage that, because we don't feel it's conducive to the type of character, the type of person, the type of traits that we feel best represent her as an individual.
Yeah, and also having that plan already makes me, I don't feel pressured when I see other children her age doing it, or other parents allowing their children to do it. I don't feel like, oh, am I doing
depriving her?
Yeah, am I depriving her? No, because that the time, whenever, you know, that time comes, and she, you know, it might get to a place where she's just like, actually, you know what, I don't even want it.
See,
and if she does, then that's fine. But you know, it's at least, as the, you know, in the stage of parenting, we've successfully been able to say, you know what, this is what it is we want, and we're not feeling that pressure from outside.
That's so powerful. That's
you know,
so rich.
because
so rich.
people feel, you know, people always feel like they kind of have to follow fashion and go with the flow, and you know, you're in family gatherings and you're around other people, and it's like, oh, you're not gonna let them have that sweet. No, I'm not gonna let them have that sweet. You know, you feel like, yeah, I know what I'm doing in a sense, and I'm confident about it. My husband and I are confident about it. We've spoken about it. We are in agreement.
That's right.
It don't really matter what anyone else is saying. We are in agreement. So that might do that could be with anything, guys. Yeah, that's just one scenario I was given, you know, but that could be with anything. You know, it could be with anything. Absolutely anything.
I think what you're highlighting here is the power of agreement. She's mentioned it, but also it's the power of the big picture. You know what the big picture is for your daughter, and because you see the big picture, you've got an agreement in the background. You know the benefits and the advantages to sticking to your resolution, basically, and that's what it is. So a lot of us need to really think about that, and that's where these plans really help, because sitting down with your partner and just, you know, at first you don't need to write anything down, just really talk. What do you see? Go through the questions, ask those questions of your partner, and say, you know, like, what do you see? What do you think? Where are we going? What are we doing? Before we got together, you said you were going here. I told you I wanted to go here. How do we meet in the middle? Where do we go?
Exactly.
How does that look? So that's really, really, really rich. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much for that. You want to go on, or you want me to go?
You know, I love it when you read, babe.
So many people know what they don't want, but they don't know how to implement something to combat that. So we spoke about that. Training, coaching, get out there, ask somebody for help. Be humble, run and catch the bus, even outrun it. Kat Johnson, we got you. Yep, so true. People will plan for you. They do indeed. Mrs. I Can Win. Hello, sister. Good evening, family. Join late, but here now. Another great topic. Thank you so much. Sarah?
Okay, Lady Chamingo says, people have this misconception that it's always being in love, being in love day in, day out, breakfast in bed, etc. No, marriage is not suffocating your partner. No, marriage is not suffocating your partner because they've literally just had the last hobnob. Love it. Marriage is an investment. You put into what you expect it to be. If you want the movie Marriage, put the work in. Become creative. How do you want to bring the best out of your spouse and family?
Come on.
Now that's a good swing. I love the way she said that. If you want that picture perfect marriage, create it. You know, that's really, really, really powerful, because a lot of people do want that, but they're not willing to put the work in.
See, this is what did I say to you guys earlier when I said that I'll have to find the date. I'll find the number and I'll give it to you guys next time.
Thank you, Lady Chimingos. That was powerful.
So we spoke about our plan initially, some 8 years ago. We spoke about this plan again and again and again. And I'm like, Says, look, this is serious. Says, this is serious. Says, this is serious. And we'd start and we'd move, and we'd start and we'd edge, and then she'd give me some, and then she wouldn't give me some, and I'd give some, and we worked and we got there. But the reality is, once it's done, it's done.
Yeah,
that was our plan.
True. That's true.
It does grow and develop. But once you've got that skeleton,
you grow and develop as well. So there'll be things that you change along the way.
Absolutely.
You know, you add and you remove things.
That's right.
Things would have been achieved. You tick that off.
We've gone through that,
and you've got space to add some new targets.
That's right.
So yeah,
and we've gone through that process time and time again, as we review it, as we refine it, as we acknowledge the things that we've achieved and we celebrate those things. Yeah. But what the reason I bring that up here is Lady Chimingo's raised a very valid point. You may spend 3 months putting your plan together, or the 3-day weekend away. But if you don't do what Sarah was talking about just now on a number of occasions, which is demonstrate the faith in the plan you've got, the team that you've got, and take the necessary act, and obviously the God who's behind your plan, who should be inspiring your plan, and then take the necessary actions every day. Listen, you can write it down. I can go to the airport, or I can go online, buy a ticket to go somewhere, and then don't go to the airport, and I just sit there and be like, the plane will come and collect me.
Oh, okay.
Where am I saying? Mexico will come and carry me to Mexico. It doesn't work like that. Wow. You need to get up, you need to go, and the structure that we've been outlining behind the scenes is really powerful, because it likens marriage as a bus journey versus marriage as an airplane flight. And I'll give you a quick example from the content. Basically, when you go on a flight, you require a little bit more identification than you need than when you go on a bus. Yeah. So I can go up to the bus and just say, ticket please, they give me a ticket and I jump on. Yeah. When you go to book a ticket for marriage, there's some extent for marry me for a flight, which we've likened to marriage. Yeah. There's a little bit more of some extensive checks that need to go on. It's a little bit more laboursome. You've got to make sure you pack accordingly, because certain things aren't allowed in your luggage. You've got to ensure that you purchase your ticket accordingly. You've got to make sure you bring the appropriate ID with you. You've got to make sure that you're...
the one where you're not allowed to have any hazardous items.
Come on now, sister.
Emotions.
Come on now, sister.
Things that just blow up. Boosh, in your face.
So I mean, mid-flight. So you've got to ensure that you've taken the appropriate action, the appropriate steps. Lady Chimingo's really knocked it on his head there, because planning is one thing, but walking out your plan is stage 2. That's phase 2.
That's where she says, become creative.
Come on now. That's real. That's real.
I get creative.
Yeah, you do try. She try.
Thank you, Lady Chimingo. I'm with y'all.
All right, we got a couple more comments before we close out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lady Chimingo says, marriage is for keeps. Don't let movies fool you, and that's... that it's all bed of roses. Marriage is about planting the seed and constantly watering it and taking the weeds out.
Yes.
Listen, the way she summarized that right there for this very moment, I couldn't say it better myself.
That's right.
Ecosmio says, yes, humility is key to learning and moving forward.
Amen.
Praise the Lord. Listen, guys, it's been a blessed session today. I know we ran over just some. I hope it's been beneficial to you. Yes. I hope it's been useful to you. Remember, we're here at Marriage Matters. This ministry, this work that we're doing, this podcast, these sessions are here to help you foster and develop your marriage to go further and achieve the goals that you've got for your marriage in this season. All right, your words foster this conversation.
Yes, because we're sick and tired of seeing marriage come under attack from all different corners, all different areas. And we know that that marriage is purposeful, marriage is intentional, marriage is of God.
That's right.
And marriage is key, and it helps. So we definitely have a passion for it, and continue to share our videos, like, share, subscribe, all that lovely YouTube saying stuff. But the most important thing is engaging, and if you really know that these the topics that we're speaking about are helping you, continue to watch them, and inbox us as well. Feel free to send us messages on how you're getting on. If you do want, if you feel like, because sometimes people want to talk to somebody, but they feel like they don't want to talk to people who are too close to home. You know, people who are already in their environment, in their circle,
in their business.
You know,
we've got one of those coming for you guys soon as well.
You know, so feel free to inbox us, and you know, we'll share what we can
Absolutely
with you. You know, on a personal one-to-one as well. That's, you know, that definitely something, you know, that we don't mind doing. So yeah, my husband.
I've been Ezekiel.
I've been Sister Sarah.
And we've been here today for another episode, juicy one,
with you,
of Marriage Matters Live.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Until
It's been a blessing, and we'll see you again real soon.
Yes.
Have a great evening, great
weekend.
Good night.
Good night from all of us this time. Night.